What you saw him doing right there was trying to scrub the rubber off of his tires. I hate to interrupt you, Paul. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Bobby, I was watching him in the paddock the other day, and he was very warm with the crowd. Of course, the paddock wide open, you know, you can get a ticket in there. Full of race fans. They were having a great time, and he spent a lot of time at the fence with us. Now, let's take a look at this, because it's going to compress up and then go green. Remember, these cars at the front of the field have been very closely matched throughout the going.
Boy, he timed that perfectly. He stole about 3 car lengths on Gougerman. Good start for Jacques Villeneuve.
Showed a lot of experience there, Tim, because what he did is slowed everybody down, got his foot on the brake, got the turbocharger lit, and let that thing go, and look how much he jumped him right away.
On board, third place, Bobby Rahal. Gougerman just ahead.
Rahal has been working his way stealthily through the pack. Finding it third now.
59 laps are complete.
This is a typical Rahal race. Drive carefully in the opening going. If you don't have the fastest car, keep everything together, pick people off.
Dennis Matolo again. Looks like engine this time. That should not bring out a full course. That'll just bring out local yellows, I would guess. Unless, of course, the car is up in a precarious position on the racetrack and they have to tow it in.
Remember when Dennis wound up on top of Nigel Mansell in pit lane at Indy last year?
I don't think any of us like to see that. That had us all wondering there.
I don't think he's in the right spot on the track, do you, Bobby?
No. Battle for second now behind the leader. Rahal closing on Gougerman. Jack is pulling away.
And let's keep in mind, too, now you see Villeneuve in front of Gougerman a little while ago before the yellow for the pit stop. Gougerman was ahead of Villeneuve. Now, when you're running in second place, you're running what we call dirty air. It messes up the car behind just a little bit going through turns like right now. Of course, that's slow speed through the chicane. But as you get to the faster turns, the front wings don't get enough downforce on the car that's behind. That hurts them a lot, makes passing a lot harder.
About 4 seconds cover the first 12 cars.
Rahal and his team have done more testing this year than any other year. They did 4,000 miles compared to a high of 3,000 any other year before. It's obviously paying off right at this moment. They seem to have a very well-balanced car right now.
Bobby Rahal is tired of doing development work. He wants to race this year, and he and Carl Hogan have told everybody, this year we're going to race. Development time is finished.
Well, they tried their own special chassis, then they tried the engine program with Honda. Neither of those things paid off for them. They were ambitious ideas that could have put them way out front. Now they've gone back to what you might call off-the-shelf stuff, and they're doing beautifully.
Bobby Rahal, of course, with Mercedes-Benz power. But Bobby Unser, that is not the same Mercedes-Benz power that won the Indianapolis 500 last year.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, and it's time to explain it. This is really a copy of, or not a copy, but a similar thing to the Ford Cosworth engine, or what was the Elmore engine, or what was the Chevrolet engine before. Built by Elmore Engineering in England, it's just an updated version and Mercedes-Benz redevelopment or development of an engine. So it's still a very small 4-cam turbocharged small engine with just standard boosters, all the Cosworth engines have and everything else.
161 cubic inch engine. I asked Paul Morgan, one of the builders. The manufacturer is Gilmore, and Paul Morgan is the more of that. And I said, what can you do to an engine? What were you concerned with an engine that's formula has existed for so long? He said it's trying to get it to turn a little faster, and they worked very hard on helping it economize fuel this year.
I think the distinction that should be made, though, is it's not the kind of engine you might find in a Mercedes car, street machine. It's purely for racing.
But what they did, Sam, to make it better than last year, or make it different, was they made it breathe better. Air is what makes engines run. If you put air and they put some fuel with it, they make more horsepower. And they definitely have more horsepower this year than they've had in the past. But it isn't the same engine. It's a development from that engine.
Danny Sullivan working on 4th place, Scott Pruitt.
Look at how exciting this is. They are not stretching out. They're compacting. It's very good racing.
First 5 cars all right together on the race course.
One just more little thing on the Mercedes thing. When we do go to Indianapolis, which we'll be covering ABC this year, they won't see the same Mercedes engine they saw last year. They'll see Mercedes engines there, but it won't be the rocker arm or what we call the stock block engine.
Well, that formula is effectively outlawed.
It's outlawed. It won't happen anymore. We don't even see those engines around anymore, but I know all the fans ask me constantly about the Mercedes engine. They mean the one that little Al won with last year.
62 laps.
Duracell car leading. Christian Fittipaldi, both these men have had their troubles throughout this race. They're battling now for 7th place. I think we're going to see a lot of both these men at the front throughout the year. They have good cars, and they're extremely good drivers. Remember, Bosell is now the teammate to Bobby Rahal. Rahal is running 3rd.
By the way, Michael Andretti came back to tell us that he thinks he identified Christian Fittipaldi, that car that you see right there, as his problem, the number 15 car that came across him and made him rush the wall. And now he wants to correct that because he believes that, in fact, it was Alicio Salazar. Fittipaldi, it's a little offline. Gives the room to Vassar, and Vassar goes inside.
He got into the speed bump, had to slow down, and of course he lost a lot because of that. You can't get the car up on these curves or into the speed bumps very fast because you have problems.
That's a classic example of what one small little mistake means. The whole car length wrong, the place wrong.
And on this track, even getting on the curves, as we watch the on-camera shots, we see the curvings all the way around there on the left, all around. We don't run much on them here. They're very slippery. Also, you see they're all painted. Paint doesn't make it get it easier, it makes it more slippery.
Riding, of course, with Brian Herter, his teammate Vassar, 2 cars ahead. The Chip Ganassi team well represented in this shot.
64 laps complete, 26 to go. They're averaging a little over a minute a lap, so it looks like without any new caution periods here, this course will run to its 90-lap conclusion. But it's going to be pretty close.
There's Vassar in the red car with the SCP decal on the side of it. That's Vassar, then Fittipaldi, and then Herta. There's Herta coming in the top of the screen.
Jimmy Vassar's an awfully good race driver. The Jim Hayhoe last year under finance. Jim's a good, long-time good friend of mine. Got me into flying a lot of ways. Talked to him this morning, Sam, and Jim just said he didn't have enough money to keep the gap up. He had good drivers, Vassar, so he had to join with Chip Ganassi on the target team right there to become a member of that. Besides that, he says he's saving an awful lot of money himself personally.
Well, Vassar had a 3rd place finish last year. He has been very, very good. Of course, right now he's running 8th.
Very proud promoter here, Ralph Sanchez, says the crowd here is 90,000 today. Completely sold out, turning people away. The Super Bowl held here, 72,000 at Joe Robbie Stadium. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Couple of updates, Paul, concerning the defending champion Al Unser Jr. He's having to come to the pits about every 6 laps. One of the batteries that controls an alternator control box and other electronics keeps draining and the car begins to misfire. So they change the battery about every 6 laps. They're doing diagnostic work, but clearly he's just out there trying to learn more and more about a brand new race car. As for Jacques Villeneuve, we talked briefly with Barry Green, asked him if there were any concerns whatsoever. He says, our concern is we've still just got too far to go. And looking at the history of this weekend with all the incidents, we're just hoping that he can stay and keep his nose clean. Other than that, car is working beautifully.
The 64 car is Christian Danner. He started in 21st position. He now runs 11th. Nice steady fire throughout the entire run of the race. And you got a glimpse of Adrian Fernandez there, involved in confrontation earlier, but was able to get the car back into the running. 66 laps now complete. Jacques Villeneuve may be looking at his 2nd IndyCar victory. Live in Miami, a race that is now 68 laps old. It's scheduled for 90 laps or 2 hours, whichever comes first. Jack Arute right now looks